And it's another trading day right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Great to have you joining us. Coming up in the next 55 minutes. Bitcoin hits a fresh record high above $71,000 as Ethereum climbs nearly 2%. And Egypt's budget significantly improved in the past 8 months, showing an initial surplus of 193 billion Egyptian pounds. U.S. electricity firm is concerned as Kenya power debt hits 4 billion shillings. Hello, welcome to the program. I'm Ladi Williams. First off, let's get the stories that set your agenda now. Talking about markets, the grain market, we see Chicago soybean eased after climbing to the highest levels in almost 3 weeks. Today, as expectations of ample South American supplies kept a lid on prices. We see the price action now. We see right there, wheat down 0.1% at $5.37 a bushel. Soybeans, that's on the flip side, up 0.3%, $11.87 for 3/4 of a bushel. We see corn, that's down about 0.3%. So we're seeing a mixed picture, but mostly negative sentiment right there with the grains that we track, with corn at $4.38 for half a bushel. Let's get a quick check on the metals market now. See, gold prices took a breather from a record-breaking rally today. Spot gold was flat at $2,177 per ounce, while U.S. gold futures, that edged 0.03% higher at $2,185.10 per ounce. We're going to get what's driving sentiment in the gold market later on. While oil prices extended last week's losses today, Brent futures fell about 48 cents, about 0.6% down at $81.60 a barrel, while U.S. WTI, that dropped 50 cents, about 0.6% at $77.44 a barrel. So we're seeing negative sentiment to start the week. That's talking about the oil market. Joining us now to get expectations for what to expect in the market, we have Sunil Dixit, technical research analyst at SK Charting, joining us via Zoom. Great to have you on the show. So, Sunil, talk to me about what's driving sentiment in the metals market. We're seeing a drag today, not as bullish as last week.
The recent bullish spike in gold that we have witnessed is majorly attributed to decline in dollar index futures. We call it DXY. And this decline in USD is not unprecedented. Even in the past, we have seen dollar coming down to 102 and even below. But gold has not risen during those declines to the levels that we see today, that 2200. There are some other factors as well in the bullish momentum in gold. The recent economic data from the US have raised hopes of a rate cut in June by Federal Reserve. And that has also led to speculations of higher gold prices in the days to come. And this parabolic momentum in gold may take a breather around 2200 for a while. But I think as long as 2150 and 2120 holds, further expectations of 2350 cannot be ruled out.
Right, so you're seeing 23, that's $2,300 per gold, but per ounce. That's according to your charts at this time. But let's look at other metals now. There's some kind of chatter out there that silver might take the shine from gold this week. What are you seeing?
Silver has always been outperforming gold whenever there is a realistic bull run in gold. So this time, technically, we see a triangular structure which can be broken if 2680 is clearly taken. That can lead to even $30 prices. But in the short term, 2230 and 2380 would be short-term support. In the time to come, $2680 challenge can be cleared, and that can clear the way for $30 too.
Definitely, we'll be watching out for those prices. But let's drill down on the oil market now. What are you expecting for price action in the oil market? That's talking about Brent and WTI for this week.
See, I'm tracking closely WTI, which faced some resistance at psychological level of $80, and that indicates that bears have not given up. $75 and $73 is a good support level. And on the higher side, if $80 is cleared, then a new up leg can begin.
All right, we'll definitely be looking out for those levels. Thank you so much, Sunil Dixit, Technical Research Analyst at SK Charting. Thank you so much for coming on.
Most welcome, Vladdy.
Right, so there you have it from Sunil. Those are the prices to watch this week, talking about Brent and WTI. But we did see a big drop today. That's the first trading day. We see oil, that's Brent and WTI down about 0.7% each. But he's seeing some kind of upward move coming sometime this week. And we're also looking at for data, that's inflation data coming out from the U.S. For February. And we're going to definitely see what's going to happen next with rate hikes, going forward. If that inflation number comes in hotter than expected, then that might dampen the expectations for rate cuts in the U.S. So definitely we're seeing a lot of volatility right there also in the gold as in the metals market now. But analysts are saying there's expectations that silver might outshine gold at this time. But according to Sunil, silver has always, outshined gold in this market. So we'll be looking out for how it all plays out for price action and how the markets react to the latest inflation data coming out from the U.S. That's tomorrow. We'll be getting the inflation numbers. We'll also drill down on what drove sentiment and how the markets are going to react if they're going to price that in already, whatever the inflation rate that comes out in the U.S. Well, we'll have another conversation now. We'll definitely be looking at how consumers are faring, at this time. It's a consumer movement week here, World Consumer Rights Day. That's held every year, 15th of March. And definitely, we're going to be finding out what the theme of this year is going to be. And Lagos State is also taking part in this year's celebration as a means to raise global awareness about consumer rights and needs. How are consumers faring in a time of rising inflation? Let's get a sense of what to expect now. Joining us is Mr. Afolabi Sholebo, GM, Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency, joining us via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the show.
Right. So it's another year and another celebration to mark consumer rights, globally. That's on Friday, the 15th. What should we expect this year from Lagos as the world celebrates World Consumer Rights Day?
Yes, thank you very much. First and foremost, the agency is actually saddled with the job of ensuring that consumers will get satisfaction for their products or goods bought or services rendered, and also to protect consumers from hazardous products. However, the World Consumer Rights Day is celebrated every 15th of March, and this actually started in 1986. And this year's theme is to ensure fairness and responsible AI for consumers. And it's going to be taking place at the Eco Hotel and Suites in Victoria Island. And it's going to be a very pragmatic discussion. So because of the ever-increasing digital world, AI has come to play a significant role, and that is a way of promoting fairness and responsibility in AI for consumers.
Right. So definitely, this is a time where we're seeing prices rise really, really high, and what the price you get at the market in maybe today might not be the same price tomorrow, might be even higher. So talk to me about the plan to protect consumers from profiteering and price gouging in a time of rising inflation. Our last inflation data about 29.9%, almost 30%.
Yes, you are very correct, and it's to the public knowledge that the issue of the dollar rate is really affecting some prices of goods in the market for consumers. Today, as I speak with you now, I think there's an ongoing rally in Abuja being organized by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, but for one reason or the other, I could not attend, but it's actually being deliberated upon. And also, I must make it very clear that this is actually on the exclusive list of the federal, of the legislative list. And because we have a synergy with the federal agency, whatever the outcome is what we're going to be deliberating on, so that to really attend to the needs of consumers and how it can actually mellow down this issue of fluctuating prices and everything. But from our own hand here, we will just run a situation whereby people will go to maybe public supermarkets or where goods are being sold and the prices are not displayed. That is where and when consumers can actually lodge their complaints about hearing market service provider, marketers, and manufacturers as well. But it's something that is being addressed now as I speak with you here.
Right, and if a consumer has a complaint or a problem with a seller at this time, how can the complaints be passed across to your agency?
Yes, each and every complaint is actually attended to based on the facts. But for easy access to the Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency, any complaints can be through walk into any of our offices. Number 2B Soji Adepegba Close, or any of our offices in Ikorodu local government, Badagry local government, Ikori Obalende local government, Bariga local government, and Ojo local government. Also, consumers can come through any of our social media handles, like on Instagram, on Facebook, and on X too. Or maybe if it's something that is of an emergency, you can reach us through any of these hotline phone numbers: 081-2499-3895, 081-2499-3895, or 080-9250-9777, 080-9250-9777. Also, if you can write to us on our email, that is lascopa@lagosstate.gov.ng, lascopa@lagosstate.gov.ng, and we can assure Lagosians that all complaints, be it services renders or goods bought that you are not satisfied with or you get satisfaction for, you can lodge your complaint to Lascopa, and thing will be treated with utmost diligence.
Okay, and talking about complaints at this time, I'm sure you've been following the story between a lady and Erisco Foods Limited. Talk to me about how you feel consumers can make complaints on social media or make reviews, about products, because we're seeing, she's being sued, at this time by the company. How do you think, or are there any rules, when it comes to how consumers can review, products? Is there any plans to set up rules so that we don't have this kind of issue going forward?
I'm happy you're really talking about the issue of Erisco. It is something that has been treated by this agency. Let me give you a brief history of that. The lady made mention of review on her Facebook, fine. And on seeing that, I actually saw it on Facebook, and I was asking for somebody who knows the lady to ensure that I get across to her through this agency. And Luckily, we got through to the husband. The husband was invited here. Erisco was invited here to this office. And Erisco came with their representatives. And it's in the course of that I insisted that I wanted to see the owner of that particular company. And I had the husband of the lady to bring the wife the next date and also bring samples of those products. But lo and behold, on the day the matter was adjourned to, the parties were here, but the lady did not show up. The husband came with the lawyer. I've forgotten the name of the lawyer, everything I have on record. Then it now became an issue because we were actually frowned at the way the woman was weeks away from Lagos to Abuja. But on the second thought, we needed to address the issue of the product so that we can address the issue of the true product and ensure that that particular product is good for human consumption. The Erisco brought their own product, the same batch. We bought from the market the same batch. We now asked the complainant for their own, the one they allegedly bought, and they could not produce it. It was based on that we had to send the products for forensic. The product was sent to Standard Organization of Nigeria to their lab for verification. Upon return of the results, we inquired that all parties should come back together so that we can open the envelope in their presence and everything. Lo and behold, they did not show up. Erisco showed up, and we made publication to that effect. But on the issue of the arrest, I just believe that probably the issue of consumer rights was separated from whatever the police is arresting her for. I believe this is based on allegation of the product being allegedly killing people. And it's the right of the police to make investigation and probably prosecute if they believe that the allegation is for the police to prosecute.
So there's no issue, for you reviewing, products online. It's within your rights, actually.
Of a consumer to review. But when you made an allegation of a product killing people, I think that is the angle they are tilting at. And when you make a complaint to the police about an issue that has to do with killing, such will be investigated. And if you do not have enough evidence to prove that same man, you can only do this in the courtroom anyway. So probably that is why. But I personally, and from this agency, we believe that such matter can still be resolved between the parties. And if Erisco will be truthful, is definitely is a review that turned out bad because of the issue of saying to the public that the product is actually killing people. And I can show you documents to the effect that we actually took these products to SON.
Okay. All right.
And we've done our job as the issue of review, the issue of the product, and to tell the public that that particular product, after all the ingredients and everything were checked, they passed.
Okay.
So I think it will not be right. It will be right not to be economical with the truth. There are two issues on that: the issue of consumer rights and that issue of making allegation that the products actually is killing people. I think that is what the manufacturer of those products are hinging on, that their product is killing people. Okay. And I believe that is rather too harsh.
All right. It's a developing story. We'll keep tracking to see how things play out. Thank you so much for coming on, Mr. Afolabi Isolebo, GM, Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we're definitely going to head to the markets and get a sense of what's playing out on the NGX and most of the global markets we track. That's in a moment. Just stay with us. All right, let's head straight to the markets now. We'll have Anite Edit with the details. Great to have you, Anite. Fresh, brand new week, brand new trading day right here in Lagos, Nigeria.
And a second week of March, which tells you that the month really is racing fast. I think this week will be the middle of March, and we're still marching on.
When did March start? Like,
as a matter of fact,
it feels like
when did 2024 start?
Quite incredible. And my birthday is on Friday.
Your birthday is on Friday?
I'm sure you're going to give me a gift.
Exactly. Of course, you really deserve the gift. And of course, first quarter is almost ending. We're counting down about just about some 18 days to the end of the quarter.
Right.
So, but Ladi, let's get on with the market and intraday numbers. Today, we're starting first with the, as usual, the trading day Africa. That's what we call it. This is an analysis of the intraday analysis of the markets trading at intraday, where we see the all-share index of Nigeria's stock market maintaining that 101,000 points, where it regained as at the close of Friday's trading session. It was up by 2.61% as at the close of the week. But at intraday Monday, it's up by more than 0.5%, 0.55%. Now, the lone loser there was the South Africa's JSE index, which was down by 0.71%. Over to the other side of the market, where we see Egyptian Stock Exchange climbing up. That's the biggest gainer within that region that we're looking at for the continent, 2.02%, while the Kenya Stock Exchange as of Friday was up by 0.48%. So that's it for the market. For Nigeria stock market, it was all green, and all thanks to the likes of MTN Nigeria, the likes of Boer Cement, as well as Transcorp Power, which also countered losses. There were more losers than gainers, but the market ended in the green for the week. Now let's talk about the fixed income market, where we will be bringing Bosun Obembe, a forex and fixed income dealer at Access Bank, to give us details about the intraday trading session for the fixed income market, an analysis, as well as the outlook for the week. Thank you for joining us, Bosun.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Now, we're starting the week. I would say it's a week of inflation data, because across for Nigeria's market, we'll be expecting inflation data for the US, as well as for China and for Japan. But starting first with our fixed income market, last week we saw a record 1.3 trillion naira treasury bills being sold, and this week we will be having a primary market auction. Can you tell us, we'll have a review of last week, and then for this week, talk more about this treasury bills auction for Wednesday?
So for last week, that was an auction like you mentioned. If you recall, the previous week, the MPR was increased by about 400 basis points. So we saw that reflecting in the NTB stop rate, where we saw the stop rate on the 1-year paper increasing by about 249 basis points to 21.49. But the previous week to the is
how much is my money?
No auction, where the stop rate there closed at
I don't want to be forgetting things. It's
1.5%. So
no.
Okay, I think we have a bit of a technical conflict there, but Bosun was telling us more about the fixed income market, about the primary market. So now let's, okay, I think we have Bosun, but once we get back to him, we have Bosun back. Sorry for that break in your conversation. Now, Bosun, can you continue with what you were telling us about the markets?
So I was saying that the 1 trillion that we saw and the increase in stop rate, it was due to the tightening stance of the central bank. Like I said, what we've seen in recent time is the DMO and the CBN, they started working together. So the week before, we had the CBN floating a normal auction, where they use that to mop excess liquidity from the system, and the stop rate on that closed at 21.5. So the DMO followed the same trend by increasing the stop rate on the 1-year paper to close at 21.49. So which is turning to about 27.3% yield. If you notice, what the CBN is trying to do is to reduce the negative real return that we currently have. So with this 27.3 and the inflation at 29.9, that is a reduction in narrowing the real return, the negative real return, so which is a very good one. And we see the impact on the FSO, because the objective of all this is to actually address the instability in the naira, so which we've seen that it's been working. If you look at the liquidity in the system, the market is in repo, because by the time you have this 1 trillion leaving, and the previous year that was 1 trillion leaving, so that's about 2 trillion leaving the system. So currently we have system liquidity in the repo of about 2.3 trillion. So it means there is not so much money in the system, and the CBN objective of ensuring that the inflation is addressed is I think is being achieved. However, given that inflation is a lagging economic indicator, so we will not see the impact of these policies in February inflation figure that will come out on Friday.
Okay, so now you've dwelt much about the inflation numbers, and of course, inflation is a very big task for central bankers around the world. Now, and Nigeria's inflation currently at 29.9%, and it's expected to tick higher. Now, how do you see this prying into the market, particularly when we reconsider that the central bank governor Yemi Cardoso said he's targeting a reduction of inflation for the year at 21%. So now, do we expect Nigeria's inflation to climb higher, and what will be the impact on the fixed income markets?
So I think the impact on inflation, because like I said, inflation is lagging. So it's February inflation that we are going to get the result by Friday. So if it is when they want to see the inflation result of March, that's where we can start seeing to say whether we are seeing the impact of this mopping up of excess liquidity in the system. So which I believe by the time we get to maybe April or May, we'll start seeing inflation. Maybe it will not be seeing that uptick. So the rate of increase, it will not be that high. Even in February, I don't expect it to increase significantly. I expect an uptick. But in terms of maybe the impact on fixed income market, we've already priced it in. We are in March. You just want to see what happened in February. We in the market, we've seen what happened in February. So I'm already priced into the yield. So, and I think even the TM has already priced this into the yield. So it will not have so much impact. What I think what can happen is maybe we have some increase, maybe a slight increase in the yield again.
Okay, Bosun, so I think we'll leave it there as far as inflation, fixed income markets for Nigeria is concerned, and then we'll take a look at the other markets around the world. But thank you for your analysis. That was Bosun Obembe.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Bosun Obembe, fixed income dealer at Access Bank, giving us details about the fixed income market for Nigeria for the week. Now, let's take a look at the other markets, starting with the Middle East, where we see only the Abu Dhabi index, that's one of the indexes for the United Arab Emirates, being in the green just by a tad, 0.01%, while the Dubai FM at about 4,236.72 points, but down by about 0.38% at intraday. For the other side of the market, we see the Saudi Arabia Stock Exchange Index, what you call the Tadawul, being in the red 0.41% at 12,566.47% points at intraday, while the Qatari Stock Exchange is also down by 0.43%. Now, let's move over to the world's biggest economy. That's the U.S. stock market, where we see, for the U.S. stock market, we see the stock futures, they were in the red, they slipped as investors are bracing for fresh inflation data from the United States. Last week, we had a jobs report as well as the unemployment report, which came, that gave investors mixed signals as to when the Fed will begin cutting rates. But as far as Monday is concerned, the Dow Jones Industrial Average Futures was in the red, 0.38%. The S&P 500 at 0.25%, that's about 0.25%, while the NASDAQ futures was down by 0.21%. So for tomorrow, traders will be bracing for the U.S. consumer and producer, for the U.S. consumer inflation, what you call the inflation report, which is expected to give a clue onto how the U.S. inflation level is, while on Thursday, they also will be expecting the producer price index for the world's biggest economy. Now, let's move over to the Asian markets, where we see Asian markets being mostly in the red, while we see that's no thanks to, they're taking their attention on two of the biggest economies there, Japan and China. For the Japan, the Japanese index, that's what you call the Nikkei 225 top listed companies on that market, down by about whopping 2.19%, and it has fallen off the 40,000 level, which it was celebrating for a couple of weeks ago, but now back in the red. The South Korea's Kospi down 0.77%, while the Hang Seng of the Hong Kong 1.43% in the green. Other side of the market, for the Shanghai, 0.74%. This is because we saw China coming out of a deflation, and they're back in the inflation territory. So, but despite that, the Shanghai was in the green, while the Australia's ASX 200 down 1.82%. So, Ladi, that's it for the market as far as inflation and other economic indices are concerned.
Investors globally bracing for that inflation data in the US. That's for February. Let's hope it doesn't come hotter than expected. Thank you so much.
That's a wish, but the reality will come when it's
we'll see the reactions of the markets to that. Thank you so much, Anyete. All right, let's head on to the UK. Now have Juliana join us from our London studio. Great to have you, Juliana. So it's inflation season, and we see the UK shopping basket used to calculate inflation has had its annual update. What do we have in there now?
That is absolutely right. Good afternoon, Ladi. So the Office for National Statistics, every year, as you said, they update their British shopping basket, which they use as a measuring stick just to basically determine how prices are rising and falling. And it's about that time of the year again. And it does show that UK consumer habits have changed. Of course, we know they've been evolving since the pandemic. So, for example, before the pandemic, the ONS had suits in the shopping basket. But of course, lots of people were working from home. So that's been off for a couple of years. And quite interestingly, actually, some other items have been removed, such as hand sanitizer. There was a time, remember, a couple of years ago, Laddie, when we were speaking during the COVID virus, you couldn't get hand sanitizer almost anywhere. But now nobody's buying them. So that has been removed, as well as sofas. I think lots of Brits are deciding that it's much cheaper to keep your sofa than change it every year. So that's been moved out. And some really interesting items have been put into the 744 itemized list, including air fryers. Air fryers are massive. I don't have one yet. I don't know if you do, Laddie. It would apparently save us lots of time on our cooking and make you more health conscious. Rice cakes have also been added, spray oil, sunflower and pumpkin seeds. The list goes on and on. It is, of course, really important for the Office for National Statistics, or the ONS, to do this, because it is the only way that they can determine whether prices are up or down. And actually, grocery prices actually quite low. They're lower than the annual rate of inflation, which I believe is at 4%. Supermarket inflation has actually gone down to just 2%. That was the latest data that we got in February. So henceforth, the ONS will be using these items to see how much pumpkin seeds are costing at the checkout to determine whether inflation in this country is going up or down. Yeah, quite interesting. Can't wait for the basket to be updated right here in Nigeria. It's been a while since the last time we actually updated our inflation basket. But we're seeing the UK is set to allow creation of cryptocurrency-backed investments, but this time it's for pros only. Yes, your favourite subject, Laddie. We're talking about cryptocurrency. It's quite interesting, actually. Very nicely timed, this announcement from the Financial Conduct Authority, which, of course, is the city regulator looking and protecting consumers and how they spend their money. And it's interesting timing because from when I just checked, Bitcoin has reached a fresh high. It's hit 71,000 US dollars. So much interest in the cryptocurrency at the moment. And, of course, we know this is lots to do with the halving session, which is taking place next month, which means basically the amount of Bitcoin that is available will be limited. So it appears as if lots of safe haven investors are putting their money there. And we know, because we've discussed this on your show extensively over the past few years, that Britain in particular are really concerned about the adoption of cryptocurrency in this country, particularly when it comes to young male investors who have been using it almost like gambling, and they've been losing a lot of money. But we have seen recently the body language has really eased from the FCA and from exchanges like the London Stock Exchange here in the city. And I think a lot of this has got to do with the announcement, or should we say the adoption by the US Securities and Exchange Commission, allowing cryptocurrency products to be used when it comes to investing. And it appears as if this may be the route that London will be following suit. This is all about the crypto asset backed exchange trading notes. I've had to do a lot of research here, Laddie, which basically allows investors to be exposed to cryptocurrency without holding the actual asset. So as an investor, you may go to an issuer who will give you this note, and this note allows you to check the price. You would obviously have to own this note. It would allow you to check the volatility and the pricing of a cryptocurrency without you actually owning it. So that's what this note is about. And I believe alongside FCA giving it a nod forward this morning, the London Stock Exchange has also said that, yes, it is open now to offering these notes to anybody who, again, doesn't necessarily want to own an asset, but you will own a note that has access to the asset. I don't know if I've got that totally correct.
You did.
Yes, so this is a good thing. I did? Good. Yeah. It's worth pointing out, though, Laddie, that the Financial Conduct Authority are still insisting that these crypto asset-backed exchange trading notes should only be used by professional investors, so not somebody who isn't familiar with cryptocurrency, because, of course, we know you can get burned. 71,000 today. Who knows? 50,000 tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and see. But it's good move forward.
Who knows at this point? Because Mr. Market could just take all of that profit away in just one swoop.
Absolutely. Do you own any Bitcoin, Laddie?
I just report the market, you know how it is. All right, Juliana, thank you so much. We'll get more updates tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now let's get a check on Europe now. See, right there, India has signed a free trade agreement with Norway, Switzerland, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. It's a deal worth about $100 billion. I wonder if both a key export and investments and help Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government make large strides in reaching its economic goals. Join us now for more. We have a correspondent, Emily Leshner in Berlin, DW correspondent, join us via Zoom. Great to have you in the show. So what do we know about this deal? All right, I guess we'll have some, we can't really hear Emily at this time. We'll try and get Emily back. I don't know if you can hear me now, Emily. All right, okay, well, we'll try and get Emily back again. But let's take a look at other issues now. And definitely we know education is essential for the growth and the development of any nation, and Nigeria is definitely no exception at this time. But experts say the state of education funding in Nigeria is not up to par. Let's look at some data now to see how we're doing. We see for education budget in Nigeria, we see 2024, 2.18 trillion naira, and for 2023, 1.79 trillion. That was what was budgeted for education. If you can put that up for me now, we're seeing an improvement, when it comes to how much how much education gets when it comes to budget in Nigeria. If we also look at budget allocation for education, in Nigeria, we've been on single digits for the longest time now. From 2020, we're at 6.5%, up to 2024, 7.85%. If you can put that data up. All right, let's bring in Dr. Kabir Kabo Usman, PRO Chancellor of Prime University, Abuja. Great to have you on the show, sir.
Hello, good afternoon.
All right, so there's no doubt that public universities are bedeviled with, lack of funds and funding at this time. How do you see private universities, handling this challenge? Because most people will say, private universities are okay. They get all of those big fees at this time, so they don't need any funding. How are you seeing it?
Well, it's very positive direction. I'm sure you can see that the population of this country is about 220 million, and the state universities and federal universities are insufficient. And of course, there is issue of lack of infrastructure and prerequisite manpower, and always there is ASU, strike and all others. So there will have to be an intervention, of actually the private sector. And of course, that is why the Prime University of Abuja, which I'm the Pro-Chancellor, is trying to make its own contribution for the development, education development in this country. Typical example, we have very, very focused agenda, in terms of skills agenda. Because from what we have been hearing, people graduate and they're not employable. So our own focus is in terms of the curriculum. We are focusing on skills agenda, focusing on areas to do with artificial intelligence, areas of cybersecurity, and areas of other related elements to do with crime, and areas of law and order, and making contribution in terms of agriculture and the rest of it. So it is very important. We have to have a prerequisite infrastructure and the human capital development and the issues of enterprise and entrepreneurship, digital economy, and many other areas in this field, to make sure that we are competitive and we are unique, in terms of providing education that people can graduate from the Prime University of Abuja and compete actually globally.
The university is expected to have a combination of all, people, including, rich and poor, to share perspectives. But our experience now, we see children of the poor that may be brilliant cannot attend, some of these private universities. Is there a plan to accommodate brilliant students with a poor background?
Yes, absolutely. There is that agenda, and one of our critical partnerships is to have actually a collaboration and partnership with some of the universities, particularly in the United States and Canada, as well as, of course, in the UK. I was a beneficiary of being in the educational system in the UK for about 25 years, and I know that initially there were polytechnics, but once you realize these polytechnics are not delivering the goods, they turn all of them, to the university and focus on skills agenda. So there is an opportunity, actually, for us to collaborate. And of course, there is opportunity for foreign students, overseas students, to come and benefit. You need to go and see our campus, and you need to see the infrastructure, the vice chancellor, the principal officers. They are absolutely up and running with global best practice and international experience. And that is why we said we are unique, and we have professional leadership, and there is differentiation in Prime University, Abuja. I will believe that if people are interested, they can go and find out, and they know that that university is a community university, and it is for all students. And we also offer some scholarships, for students, so that those people in the poor background are not excluded. They are also given the opportunity, to acquire, good, degree qualification, so that they don't just go and look for employment. They become employers in the near future.
Right, and looks like, looking at it from an investment perspective now, investment in education in Nigeria definitely requires a lot of funding. Talk to me about how this is being, attended to by players like yourself, in this market, because at the end of the day, it seems like it just needs a lot of funding going forward. Maybe you might even generate more profit if you put that money, somewhere else. But definitely we need investment in education. How can we make it profitable?
Well, you see, we do need that investment in education. If you allow me, I will say whatever the focus of the government is, in order to bring economic development in the country, is focus on education, education, education. And that is why we are actually focusing. Provide scholarships for those, but on merit. And also create an opportunity, for all Nigerians, to come and study, rub mind and shoulder, from males and females, rich and poor, old and young. And we have a skills acquisition center. We have skills acquisition center. We have a digital, hub where people can really work and be able to get degrees and other qualifications to go and work for Google and go and work for Facebook and go and work for all the kind of social media you can also think about. Artificial intelligence is the way forward and is knocking at our door, and we are doing everything possible. Forensic science is another one. So please, people should come and see the facilities and see the opportunity, and I'm sure people will grab the opportunity, and that's the contribution we can make. You know, in terms of education, you hardly make money. You know, return on investment is very low and is very slow. If you set up a university, maybe if you are lucky, after 10 years, you'll get a return on investment. So we are making our own contribution to support the government agenda in terms of educating our youth. So that is where we are, and that's where we are going.
All right, and talking about, you know, the government's agenda when it comes to education there, we've put down a budget of 2.18 trillion for 2024. That's for the education sector. But if we look at education allocation in other African countries, we see South Africa allocated about 19.75% in 2022. Namibia is doing about 27.3%. That was for 2023. That's the allocation to education in the budget. But the UNESCO benchmark is 26%. Talk to me about how you would, what allocation you would like to see coming from Nigeria, because we've been doing single digits for the past couple of years now. How many percent would you like to see of the Nigerian budget?
I was opportune to be an advisor to 3 ministers of education in Nigeria and also in the UK. And during Jerry Agada, Professor Jerry, Aisha Tuduku, and of course, Aja Nwachuku, I was their technical advisor. And the UNESCO benchmark is just an advisory. It is not a regulatory framework. It is not absolutely compulsory because these figures are not equal. So you cannot say every country, you know, their training budget or education budget must be that amount of money. But in Nigerian system, of course, it has been single digit, you know, for a long time. And it has been for 2 reasons. One is the population. There is influx in population. We are trying to catch up with population, and that is one of it. And the second aspect, there are so many other aspects where education, you know, is being sponsored by various organizations, either from the AIDS organizations, from other communities, the World Bank, the IMF, and the UNESCO itself, and many others. If you can harness and get all these contributions together, Nigeria is making a significant contribution actually in education. Honestly speaking, we need to do more. Why? And we need to focus on what? On the skills agenda. If you would allow me, I will say skills and skills and skills should be the critical. Entrepreneurship skills, engineering. You are talking about manufacturing. Industries are collapsing. Now, actually, where are the staff? Where are the engineers? We have to go to the university to produce the engineers who will go and work actually in the manufacturing industry.
Right.
And this has been the case for many years. We need to rethink in terms of our curriculum offering. We need to rethink in terms of our programs that we deliver. And we really have to make sure that we have the human capital element not actually being frustrated with regards to so many other, you know, frustration that is really happening actually in the country in relation to actually the members issue of the university community. We need to sit down. We need to negotiate. We don't have any other country to go. There is no country better than Nigeria in terms of human capital, in terms of human resources, in terms of finances. It's just to put our head together.
Yeah, put our heads together. Good place to anchor it there. Thank you so much for coming on, Dr. Kabir Kabo Usman, Pro-Chancellor of Prime University, Abuja. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see if we can circle back to Europe now. I think we have Emily now. Thank you so much for staying on, Emily. So we're talking about the new deal, free trade agreement India signed with Norway, Switzerland, and Iceland. So Emily, bring us up to speed on this agreement.
Yeah, hi, Laddie. Glad to be back with you. So as you've mentioned, the deal is between India and 4 member states of the European Free Trade Association. Those countries are Norway, Switzerland, Iceland, and Liechtenstein, none of which are part of the European Union. But regardless, it's significant because these countries have pledged to invest $100 billion, that's nearly 91.5 billion euros, in India over the next 15 years. And in exchange, India has promised to lift most import tariffs on products coming from these nations. Now, it's a deal that was 16 years in the making and will bolster economic growth on both sides of the aisle. So naturally, it's being touted by both sides as a very big achievement.
All right. And what sectors will be impacted by this agreement?
Well, Many of them. India expects the agreement to boost exports in a range of industries, from pharmaceuticals and medical devices to garments, chemicals, and machinery, as well as attract investment in the automobile industry, in food processing, in railways, in the financial sector. I mean, just about anything you can think of. So, of course, that's going to be great for India's economy, which currently stands as the 5th largest in the world. And it's also going to be beneficial for the markets in these 4 EFTA countries. Again, that's Norway, Switzerland, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. And that's because tariffs on exports coming from these countries into India, right now, they are very high. So certain products coming from Norway, as one example, have import taxes of up to 40%. And now they will be nearly zero under this trade agreement. And this is an enviable trade agreement, even one that the UK has been striving to secure with India, but hasn't been able to, despite several rounds of negotiations. There are rumors or concerns that India is waiting for the UK's general election to take place and be over, since the Labour Party is projected to win a majority, because India believes it'll get a more advantageous deal than if it continues to negotiate with Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Conservative Party.
All right, thank you so much. We'll keep tracking that agreement and the deal going forward. That was Emily Leshner, DW correspondent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's get some stories now. We see Egypt's budget has significantly improved in the past 8 months, showing an initial surplus of 193 billion Egyptian pounds. That's a 4.5-fold increase from the previous year. According to the Finance Minister, Mohammed Mates, the public revenues rose by 34.6%, driven mainly by a 38.3% increase in tax revenues, totaling 892 billion pounds. Despite economic challenges, the deficit increased to 6.7% of GDP due to higher interest rates. All right, let's head straight to the markets now. Let's take a look at what's happening with Bitcoin hitting new highs at this time. Ethereum not left out. It's green on the screen, just little pockets of pullbacks, but even the pullbacks there have done really well at this point, with BNB $500 crossing that mark for the first time in the longest time. But we're seeing Bitcoin there, $72,000, $164. I remember reporting about $16,000 per Bitcoin just a couple of months ago, but now new high never been seen before. That's for Bitcoin, $72,000. And see Ethereum, $4,055. Let's look at the top cryptocurrencies we track now. And we see the market cap nearing that $2 trillion mark. Extreme greed. That's the sentiment in the market now at 82 points. We're going to bring in Gilbert, your partner now, to bring us up to speed on what's driving sentiment. Great to have you, Gilbert.
Yeah, Happy New Week, Mr. Ladi.
Happy New Week. And I see Bitcoin making most of these investors smile in this brand new week. But talk to me about this new high. What next from here?
Okay, Bitcoin has created a new all-time high of over 70,200, but little has changed technically. And this is because they haven't been the perfect breakout yet. The body of the candlestick still remain within the 2 years resistance zone. For us to have a perfect breakout, the body of the candlestick needs to stay above the current resistance, and then we could say we now have a perfect breakout. But regardless, there are key things investors have to pay into as we begin this new week. Because as we begin this new week, which started yesterday, we'll start printing a new one-week candlestick. And I think, first of all, is tomorrow's CPI data. We're expecting CPI data tomorrow, which I regard as a cautionary alert call. This is because economics are already expecting a 0.4% hotter than what we saw in January, which was 0.3% in January. And there will still be an absence of rate cuts. And this can bring in some short-term volatility in the market. But the psychological outcome of tomorrow's data is going to determine tomorrow's direction. If psychologically people react negatively, the market may range for a while. If it doesn't, then I think 74 and 77 is on the horizon. So there's a possibility of a short-term pivoting before a continuation. And then the second thing I think investors should pay attention to is that this is going to be a long bull market. the Bitcoin ETF buying pressure keeps increasing. BlackRock now holds more Bitcoin more than MicroStrategy. Bitcoin ETF tops silver. I think the information got in today, and marking it the most successful ETF in history. And similarly to the Bitcoin ETF, the London Stock Exchange market declared today that they will start accepting application for the ETN, which is the exchange traded note, which is similar to the Bitcoin ETF at the second quarter of 2024. And then I think the third thing is investors are still holding. That is what data from Glassnode showed. Long-term investors have not matched the 2021 inflow. So this is going to be a long bull market for investors as we dive into the more of what I would like to call the typical runway bull market. But there is a short-term possibility of a pivot or an upward continuation following tomorrow's CPI data.
Right, definitely be tracking that data coming out from the U.S. tomorrow. And according to Gilbert, this is going to be a really long bull market, but we know these markets can always surprise. Thank you so much, Gilbert Rupata.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so that's it. New high there for Bitcoin and most of these markets that we track at this time. That's the show today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget you visit channelcv.com for more updates. I'm Ladi Williams from me and the team right here at Channels HQ. It's bye for now.